Hi friends, and welcome back into my studio. If you are new here, my name is Tammy Ernest and I am a longarm quilter, and here on my channel I like to share customer finishes as well as my own personal projects. So do you see what I have right here? This is my Joyfill quilt that I've been working on with my Quilt Circle membership, and I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. This is the only personal sewing I got done this week, but I am excited to have the quilt top together, or most of it. So this is Joyfill. This is a pattern by Corey Yoder, and I am using American Gatherings fabric line from Primitive Gatherings. Love the red, white, and blue. See, I'm ahead of the game, right? I'm getting ready for summer already. So love all this. So you'll remember that I did not like my low volumes Ohio Stars that I had made, so I purchased a little bit more fabric so that I could do all of those Ohio Stars in the reds and blues. Let's see if you can see that. So this pattern uses a fat eighth bundle, and I did buy the fat eighth bundle of the Primitive Gatherings line. There were quite a few low volumes, and those are the ones that I was trying to use in the Ohio Stars, and I just didn't like it. I really wanted the darker colors all throughout the quilt. I really like this pattern with the Americana theme. It kind of looks like fireworks going off all over the place. So really like that this is together, the quilt top is together. The next thing I need to do, I have all the borders cut and ready to piece on there. So there is the pattern's a little hard to tell on here, but there is a white border that goes around, and then there is a pieced border. This is all 3.5 inch squares all the way around. And I do have quite a few of my 3-inch pieces. I again took all of the darker prints, all of the reds and the blues. I have most of the reds cut right now, and just one lone little blue one. So what I did was I counted up how many of the reds and blues there were. You need 84 to go all the way around. You need 84 squares to go all the way around the quilt. So I divided how many of these different fabrics that I had, divided that by 84, or the other way around, 84 divided by that number, and I needed about 5 to 6 of each one. So what I'm doing is going through my yardage that's left, or the fat eighths that are left, and cutting 3.5 inch squares so that I have a pretty even amount of all the different colors all the way around. So that goes on, and then it's putting it on the long arm and finishing up. I didn't bring the backing fabric that I bought to go on this one, but it's the one with the state names like this. So that's what my backing fabric is going to be, and I like that. So it'll be all directional on the back, and you can see my little Corey Yoder signature right here. She visited my local quilt store when I was in the midst of working on this, so I had her sign my quilt as well as my pattern. So excited about that. So almost finished with this one. I'm super excited. It was a busy Thanksgiving weekend, so this is the only thing that I got done of my personal sewing, but I am excited to have that quilt top together. So like many of you, I enjoy watching something while I'm sewing. I hear from so many of you saying you watch me on YouTube while you're doing your sewing, and I'm the same way, whether it's upstairs and piecing or whether it's here in my long arm room. You can see my empty spot. Camera's hard. My empty spot over here, and sometimes I'll set my computer over there and watch something. A lot of times I watch YouTube, but I have recently been watching Skillshare. So Skillshare is an online platform where you can learn all different topics, and lately I have been enjoying this embroidery class. This is how to make Christmas ornaments, crafting cozy Christmas ornaments, and this uses embroidery. Not only does it embroider with DMC floss, but she embroiders with raffia. So this teacher was very, very nice. She's from London. Her name is Katerine, and she did a wonderful job of describing the stitches and actually working on them in a practice session first before actually doing them on the ornament. and so 5 different stitches. It was a really great class, really enjoyed that one. And so Skillshare has been so nice to sponsor my video for today. And not only that, they have offered the first 500 people who click on the link below, you will get 1 month free of Skillshare. So perfect timing, the month of December here. You can learn crafting ornaments like I was doing. Another class that I have been watching, I'm in the middle of right now, is on interior design. And this is done by Lauren Cox, and I am really enjoying this. You'll remember that my kids stripped the wallpaper off of our kitchen before Maggie's wedding, and so that is still needing painted. And so now that Maggie's gone, she was kind of my interior decorator, interior design. So I have really been enjoying this class as I'm learning about color, placement, symmetry in a room, the color wheel, how to put different accents, or whether it's furniture or accents. Skillshare also has learning paths, and these are curated classes that are joined together, meaning like if you want to begin selling on Etsy, they have a curated learning path for creating your product, pricing your product, how to set up your Etsy shop. So learning paths, whatever the topic is, whether it's playing guitar or business minded, setting up your own business, it's a curated list of classes that you can work through instead of just being a one-off class like the embroidery class that I did. This is a curated list of classes, and you can work through those classes so that you're learning an entire topic and all that needs to be done around that topic. So if Skillshare sounds interesting to you, you'll want to click the link down below in the description, and you'll get 1 month free of Skillshare. So I thank Skillshare for sponsoring my video today. Also wanted to let you know that the Jolly Box should be here anytime. This is the Christmas subscription box. Not a subscription, it's a one-off. It's an exclusive box that Fat Quarter Shop does each Christmas, and mine should be arriving any day. I know pre-orders are done. Pre-orders are being sent out now. You can put your name on the list to be notified when if they have boxes left after the pre-orders are done, then they will make those available for sale. And you're probably going to want to get your on that list even before you see what's in the box, because they're going to go fast once people see what's in the box. So I'm excited about the Jolly Box. That'll be coming very, very soon, any day here from what I understand, and be able to work on some Christmas projects. Speaking of Christmas, I wanted to tell you about my holiday schedule. So Christmas and New Year's both fall on Wednesday this year, as always. They're always a week apart. And you know, I normally post my videos on Wednesday. So Daniel and I have filmed a sewing room tour of this room as well as my sewing room upstairs where I do all my piecing. That will release 1 week, probably on Christmas Day or the day after. And then I am going to sit down and pre-record a question and answer video that will be released on New Year's Day. So hopefully that will spark you on and inspire you to start your new year off right. Many of you have been sending in questions, or I get questions over email. I've compiled all of those together so that I can do one video just answering your questions. There's questions about my family, there's questions about my business, there's questions about long arming, all kinds of things. So it'll be a fun video to pre-record. And I'm looking forward to the holidays. I'm sure you are too. So let's move on to customer quilts for today. And this beautiful quilt was made by Carol, and she says this was her own imagination. So I love that it's an original pattern. And she said the fabric line is called Summer Breeze. This was a jelly roll as well as some yardage done by Moda. She also added in some Kimberbell basics. If I was to guess, and looking at Kimberbell, I'd say this lighter blue, these lighter blues that you're seeing, and then the yellow, those have all got like a floral print to them. Kimberbell has some really cute colors. If you know, the Kimberbell tends to be what do I want to say, more primary colors and those, like a coloring box type of colors, but some really cute prints. And their Kimberbell Basics are, for the most part, they are prints of some kind, but can be used in so many different quilts, so you'll want to check those out, and I have linked those down below. So Carol's done a jelly roll where she's just cut it into strips, probably I'd say 6-inch, 7-inch strips here, and just done them in long columns. I love the sashing down, the vertical sashing that she's done, and then the larger border. Now this fabric here, it almost looks like a grunge, or maybe that primitive muslin by Primitive Gatherings. It's got a little more of a grungy type look, so not a solid cream, not a solid fabric, but a little more of a mottled tea-dyed type of look to it there. The backing fabric is part of that same Summer Breeze line. Love the large floral border on the yellow background. That is really cute. So the pantograph that Carol asked for is called Happy Flowers. This is super cute. I love these flowers. These are like daisies, or yeah, kind of look like daisies to me. You have a larger one and smaller one. They're just connected together with a meander type of little, not even a swirl, just a meander stitch there, little leaf every once in a while too. Just a very dainty, calming, very cute pantograph to stitch out. The thread color I used on this one was 3005. That's actually almond, so I would say it was just a tad bit darker than a cream color. I liked it better on this. It matched this little bit of a mottled fabric line a little bit better than the cream did, and blended in really well. And then I did use pre-wound cream color bobbins on the back, and those really blend in really, really well with the yellow background. So let me show you a close-up of this. Carol sent this along, so I'd be sure to get the right one. And so the size of this, I'd say on her quilt, pretty similar in size is what I did for this one. So that's how it's stitched out, and just love it. It's really, really cute. I love it when clients make their own quilts. Those are really special, to see a fabric line and create your own original pattern from your inspiration that is there is really fun. So the size on this one is 56 by 70, so a nice size quilt, and she just did a wonderful job. Rachel made this cute quilt using the pattern by Elizabeth Hartman. This is called Fancy Fox. Isn't this just adorable? Love the fox faces, and classic Elizabeth Hartman. If you loved characters like this, she's got a whole line, everything you could think of, really. Just really, really cute. So this is the Fancy Foxes. Now the pattern does come with a full-size applique pattern or applique drawing that you can put glasses on these as well. So here is the back of the pattern, so you can kind of see what the glasses would look like if you added those to your fox faces. Those are so cute. And the quilt does come in baby size, lap size, and twin size. Rachel's measures 42 by 44 with the sashing, so she looks like she did a little improvisation on the baby quilt, made it just a tad bit bigger than that. So you can make it whatever size you want, because you're making these blocks, putting them in vertical rows. I love what Rachel did by doing the color scheme. This row over here, it's got the turquoise, lighter blue colors, and then she's done a whole row of reds, then a whole row of yellows, and then she starts with pink, purplish polka dots at the top and goes lighter on the pinks, and then starts with a blue, dark blue on the top of that row and moves down to lighter blues on that one. I love the color scheme here. I like her color choices as well, not your normal primary reds, blues. They're a little more muted and just a nice color palette here. And I really like the addition of the gray background fabric. We're seeing this more and more as background prints is a darker color, sometimes black, but I really like the gray. I really think it shows off the colors in the fabrics really, really nicely. So all pieced, no applique unless you choose to put the glasses on your foxes. And like I said, the quilt comes in several sizes, but you can make it as large or as small as you want. I did use light gray thread on this one that matches the gray fabric right there, and then really reads just as a neutral on those fox faces. The background fabric, isn't this cute? She went with the fox theme, and Rachel said her husband helped pick this one out. I haven't been able to find the fabric line of what this is yet. If you know what the fabric line is, be sure to put it in the comments below so that others can find it. Really cute, just the orange foxes all face in different directions, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a directional print. It can be used in either direction. And then the pantograph on this one, I kind of went with the inspiration of the deep V of the fox faces and their muzzles there, I guess you'd call them, and went with Karen's chevrons. And so a very deep pointed V on this one. Let me see if I can pull it in closer so you can see a little bit better. Yeah, so just really took the inspiration of that. Instead of doing any sort of themed motif, I really just wanted texture. I just really wanted some texture on that's not going to take away from the fox theme by adding more foxes on top of there or any sort of picture theme in that way, but just adding texture with using the straight lines, but using that diagonal inspiration of their snouts right there as my motivation, or I guess as my inspiration for the quilting pattern. Not super tight. You can make this much smaller if you wanted. You can make it much larger. My spaces are about an inch, making those chevrons about an inch each way. And then when you shrink that design up closer, make sure that you're bringing your design up close enough so that when those two rows nest together, you still have about the same amount of spacing in between the rows as you do as the program is stitched out, or as the pattern is programmed for the size of those chevrons, if that makes sense. You want your pantograph to look even over the whole thing. You don't want to see a big gap where between your rows. If you shrink it down small enough so that it nests inside of each other, so it's really hard for somebody just to come in and tell where your row is. You want it to be very uniform throughout your whole quilt. So really cute. And the gray thread, I used gray on the back as well. So fun. Really fun. Sara's cute baby quilt is made from pinks and grays. It's done in the Tumbler Tumbler pattern here, so you can tell the blocks have that little bit of an angle shape to them so that they get that tumble look to them, and then you're adding that or piecing that together in rows then. So she's done a variety of pinks and grays. I know a lot of times she uses like the tilde pinks and things, so I'll see if I can find any of those and link them down below. She's got ginghams, she's got polka dots, she's got stripes, X's, some small ginghams, some large ginghams, so it's really, really cute. The size on this one is 34 by 42 and just really fun. The pinks and the blue, the pinks and the grays. And then she's done a pink with white polka dots on the backing fabric. This is the Happy Flowers pantograph. I did this in a light gray to match with the gray colors on the front, and has a 5-petaled flower right here, just like we saw on Carol's quilt just a few minutes ago. The same pantograph, about the same size even. You've got a couple larger of your daisy flowers, couple smaller. It's joined by just a slight meander, and then a leaf in there as well. This really added some cute daintiness. You've got a lot of fabrics that are just ginghams and polka dots, and this just added kind of a girly floral theme to it by adding the flowers on top. So cute, so fun. This is Joni's quilt, and isn't this so cute? I just love this. So the pattern, she said, is called Nesting by Brenda Riddle. She says this is in the book Acorn Cottage. I was able to find this as an individual pattern as well, and I've linked it down below. So in the pattern, you have a middle block here, whether you do it fussy cut or a pieced block like this one, and then it's all done in almost like a gingham fashion. You've got the three colors, a darker, a medium, and then a light to create that gingham effect with your fabrics. So the middle panel here, I'm assuming this is an Elizabeth Hartman pieced pattern with the dinosaur right here. And Joni says the fabrics that she used right here in the dinosaur, that is the Beep Beep collection by Michael Zindel for Clothworks. A really cute, it's kind of a batik looking. I mean, it's very, very small, like little stones. There's a whole line. The Beep Beep line is all either construction, road work, that kind of thing. It works really well for this dinosaur. She's got the turquoise blue here, and then his legs are done in the gray print. Then the background print right here is a white polka dot. This is all Swiss dots. So that's the name of the line. So it's the darker blue, the lighter blue, and the white is all done in that Swiss dots line. That is by Riley Blake. And then the white she has used, this is a crustaceous dinosaur print. So it has the flying, is that the pterodactyl, flying pterodactyl. It's got some clouds in it. So if you see a little bit of gray in different spots, that's the clouds with the pterodactyl flying. So really cute how she's added that dinosaur theme in those little white parts as well. Then the polka dots, and then the dinosaur in the middle. The backing fabric, she did this beautiful light blue minky. Just love it, love it, love it, love it. And then that shows off the pantograph really nicely. This is the diagonal plaid bias cut. And I love this. This is for a little boy. Notice on the diagonal, so the quilt top is very squared. Everything is done in a grid pattern. By adding in the diagonal plaid, the bias cut softens it a little bit, keeps it rounded corners instead of very stark straight points. A little softer look for a young child. But then by doing the diagonal print, then it creates the diagonal look across your very grid pattern. I wouldn't use on a grid pattern like this for the most part. I can't say I never, but for the most part, I wouldn't use another square pattern right on top of that, unless it's more of a modern type quilt where I want to really emphasize that design, that squareness. This one we wanted a softer look, so by adding in the diagonal, a little bit of rounded corners, because it's for a boy, circles didn't go. I mean, we've got polka dots, but I didn't feel circles went really well with this one. The diagonal plaid is just a great overall texture building, great pantograph. If you're a new digital long arm quilter, I think this one is a great one to start off with. It can work on so many quilts. You've heard me talk about before, I use it on t-shirt quilts a lot. I think it's a great texture on t-shirt quilts. Gender neutral, you can use it either direction, and I just really like this one. But for this one, I really like the diagonal effect it adds into this, softens up the quilt some. The thread I used is white. A lot of the background prints are white, and then with the minky, it just soaks into the minky. So did the binding on this one for Joni as well, and it's done in that Swiss dots. I did my binding at 2.5 inches. I like that, and I usually stitch at about, when I'm putting the binding on the front, I'll stitch just wider than a 1/4 inch, almost a 3/8 inch, kind of, on my foot. I don't have a 1/4 inch foot. I have a 1/4 inch marked on my foot, and then on my bed of my sewing machine, there's a 3/8 line marked. And so I'm really, for the minky, I'm running in between that 1/4 inch mark and the 3/8 inch mark. You know, that's some 16ths, you know, but that gives me just enough where it's filling up that entire binding and not leaving too much space in between there. I know if you're putting quilts to be judged, that's one of the things they look for, is they want that binding to be full. And instead of making a skinnier binding, I like to just stitch it at 3/8 of an inch. This one, there's no points to match up around the outside edge, so it works perfect. I mean, we're talking 1/16 of an inch. If there's a point to match up, you know, you're really not noticing that. It's very, very minimal. And I like minky. You have to make sure you're getting deep enough to really get that base fabric that the minky is built on, you know, or that getting into the minky and not just your pile here. But I like that your stitches just really soak in. Really nice. So that's all in the Swiss dots. That light blue matches perfectly with that minky. So cute. So her final quilt measures 64 by 64, and it's just adorable. This beautiful quilt is Marsha's quilt, and this is the second one of these that we have done together. This is an Air Force panel. In the middle here it says Patriot, for the love of liberty, country, and freedom, and it does say U.S. Air Force down at the bottom, has the Air Force symbol right here, and we are one right here in the middle. So this is a panel in the middle, and then Marsha has added a skinny black border, red, white, blue, and then another skinny black border, and then a final one with blue around the outside edge. Really, really pretty. She has done stars as the cornerstones with those borders right there. Really nice job. Really, really nice job. Love this. Backing fabric is a blue as well. The backing fabric is by Tana Mueller for Blank Quilting Corporation, Stitch 108, blankquilting.net. So this is a close-up of what it looks like. So it's got it almost looks like stitched little lines. It's got some modeling there too, so it's not just a solid blue, but blue with black little stitch lines on there. Super cute. So this is a 108, comes in lots of colors, and you can check that out. So that's the backing fabric. And then for the pantograph, this is the same pantograph we used on the last military panel that she did like this. She liked it so much, she said, let's just go with the same one. I do think I made this one a tad bit smaller than I did on the first one. This is called Ribbon Star. Did this in a light gray thread. I like light gray on dark prints like this. Can you see that very well? Let me pull it in here on the front. So Ribbon Star. So it has a half, you know, a little bit of a circle across the top with the star. Then it comes down here, does the star down here with a little bit of the circle down below it. Really cute. I think this is a great pantograph for any patriotic quilts, military quilts. Just really adds to the theme on it. I like the texture that it creates. It's just a really nice pattern. It stitches out really well. And I love the gray. The gray, you know, it shows up as, you know, here in the middle, you really don't even see it. On the outside, you can see it, but it's not too bright on the blues, and that's what I like. So the backing, the bobbin thread was also a light gray pre-wound bobbin. I got the same length of these. light gray pre-wound bobbin. So cute. This quilt measures 51 by 68. Great use of those panels. Just add some borders, put the cornerstone, a star, or whatever your favorite block would be in the corner. I love the red, white, and blue for the Patriotic quilts. I think that's really, really pretty. So Marsha did a really nice job. And these are some pretty kitties. This is called Kitty Cats. This is a pattern by Cluck, Cluck Sew, and Elizabeth made this quilt. The fabric line that she used is called Clover and Dot. That is by Allison Harris for Wyndham Fabrics. So cute. Love the oranges and the reds, the greens, the blues. You can see all the different colors. Some of the kitties are sitting up. Some are laying down. I love this print right here. It almost looks like a knit cable type thing, or it could be leaves, but it kind of looks like a knit cable. So paired different ears and tails with different fabrics, some yellow, some blue, some red, some orange. Really, really cute. This pattern comes in with the pattern. You can do it in 3 different sizes. There's small, medium, and large. It is fat quarter friendly. And so if you have a nice fat quarter bundle that you're wanting to use that you think would look good in kitty cats, this would be a great pattern to use. So Elizabeth chose the medium size one, which is the 60 by 67. She's got a white background fabric. It's a white on white, has a little bit of a flower to it, really nice. You really don't even notice it until you get in close. It's a really cute pattern, and I believe it may be that same line. And looking at the flowers on it, it may be that same line by Allison Harris. For the background, she has chose a sand color minky. Love that. I really think that's pretty. And you can see the pantograph really well in this one. This is called Dave's Sunflowers. The sunflowers themselves are about the size of my fist. And the sunflowers, this is a nice pattern for a beginner as well, because there's no fussy meet-up points. It does nest in really well, so it's hard to tell where one, I mean, you can tell where one row and the other, but it gives a nice uniform effect all down the quilt. So you can make this larger, and I have on other quilts, make it smaller if you like, but the sunflower, it loops in and just does the loops of the sunflower. It gives a nice circle in the middle, almost like an orange peel effect on the center of that sunflower circle. On this one, I did use white thread. The back, or the front of the quilt has this white background fabric, so I used white thread. And with Minky on the back, you don't even see the white bobbin. All you see is texture there. Very pretty. A really fun quilt. So if you have a quilt or a cat lover in your family, this would be a great quilt to make in whatever colors they would like. So really cute, Elizabeth. So this is Jane's quilt, and Jane said this was her, I want to say great grandmother's quilt. Let me look again. This top was my grandmother's, made many, many years ago. In fact, she would be 123 years old today if she was still living. So Jane said she found this in her grandmother's closet once her grandmother had died, and she brought it home but didn't do a whole lot with it. But she said she keeps hearing me say every quilt is worth finishing, so she decided to pull it out and finish it. She says many of the fabrics were probably feed sacks, old clothing. It's all done in pinks and whites. I love the feel of this. It's the old feel to it, and I just love it. Some pieces, some blocks, she said, were machine done, some were hand pieced, and I just love it. The fabric, or the pattern, is a variation on a 9 patch. So the larger, the inside square is larger, the smaller ones around the outside. There is a sashing between. It is a little wonky. You know, you can think back then they didn't have rotary cutters. They were using templates or squares. They're cutting with scissors. We have it so nice today. So it's a little wonky, but I think that's part of the history. There was some fullness in here, so you'll see a little bit of rippling where some of the fabrics just kind of pop through. And I think a tighter, denser fabric or denser pattern works because it kind of holds in some of that density. You know, it's just the nature of old quilts. It's not going to be perfect, but it's history, and it's just so lovely. I just really like it. And the fabrics, most of them are pinks. There's some solid pinks. There's some checked pinks, and then you got a little bit of plaids thrown in here. It's like, oh, I need another block, and here's some pinks that'll work. So really cute. All the whites, they're different ones. This is even like right here, very, very pale. So it gives a much lighter look in that part of the quilt. All the whites are not the same, just she used what she had, and I just love it. The quilt measures 67 by 78. Now Jane said she did need to pick a backing for it, and let me flip this over so you can see the backing. So Jane said she initially thought she would put a minky on the back just because to give it some weightiness. It's a light, a very light, airy quilt. And she said her husband pointed out they didn't have minky back in that time. So she looked through her stash for something that worked, and I think this is a perfect backing. This is not vintage, or not vintage fabric anyway, but it has the feel of just an older print. It's small, tiny pink rosebuds. It just looks like a grandmother's nightgown is what it looks like to me. But this is perfect. This is a perfect backing. Just gives the softness, just the old time vintage feel to it. And I really, really like her choice of this. For the pantograph, she asked for Rhapsody Feather. Now Rhapsody comes in many different variations. So this one has the feather motif. So you'll see how it kind of swirls, does little things, and then right here it's got just a little bit of a feather, and that's why it's called Rhapsody Feather. There's lots of others. Rhapsody, I can't think of any others right now. But they'll change this little motif right here into something, and then so the basic pantograph is the same. But just this little motif right here in the center changes, and then they change the name of it. But there's a whole line of those, and I'll link Rhapsody Feather down below. I did use a white thread on this one. Wanted to keep it light and airy, and really you're going to see the quilting because there's a lot of open space. And just the nature of the quilt, you're going to see a lot of the quilting, but I wanted to keep it light. I thought a cream might darken it just a tad bit, and I didn't want that. And so I kept the white thread with that Rhapsody Feather. Did a pretty tight quilting. Just really wanted to hold everything together. You have some waviness in there, and that'll kind of shrink things in the more denser of the quilting. It's not perfect, but it is history right here. Even like some of these pink squares, this pink square, it's 2.5 inch square, and what it looks like, it was pieced together originally, or first, and then cut into 2.5 inch square. So save your scraps. You can sew those little tiny pieces together to make bigger pieces, and then you can put them into your quilts. We are so spoiled these days, aren't we? Oh my goodness. They used what they had. Very pretty. I'm so glad you finished this, Jane. It's a work of art. I just love it. Jane's second quilt is called Jingle All the Way. This is a pattern done by Sweetwater, all Christmas fabrics. She said the fabrics, she has a large stash, and so she pulled fabrics from her stash. So you have, I believe this is called a shoe fly block, if I'm not mistaken. And so you have each one of these. The background fabric is all the same. It looks like just a solid white as the background, and then just beautiful Christmas prints, little holly sprigs and candy canes and wintry scenes, snowflakes and words, and just so cute. This measures 59 by 69, and let me show you the borders. So the pattern actually shows you doing these borders, and I don't know how the pattern does, if it shows you to do embroidery or it shows you to do hand stitching, but Jane is an embroiderer, and so she put Jingle All the Way, and that is what the pattern shows. It shows Jingle All the Way, and then she has the little bell. Do you believe? If you can hear it, you believe, or if you believe, you'll hear it. I'll get it right. But I love this. So this is on all four corners, but it's not centered. It's like off-centered on one side. I love this. I love that you just change things up. We don't have to keep it all symmetrical these days. And then cornerstones with the reindeer print in the corner. It's kind of a patched, I mean, it's meant to be that way, but it's different fabrics around the border, and then you have the embroidery on the side. So here's another one on this one. So it's on all four sides, has the Jingle All the Way with the little bell, and I think that's so pretty. So let's look at the backing fabric. Like this too. This is a directional print. It says Merry Christmas on it. She did do some piecing here at the top where she did like 5-inch squares in just a couple rows. I like this. If you need to make a quilt backing larger, I think this is a great option. You know, just do some fabrics that you have, do a couple solid rows, and then put part of your backing fabric at the top. Notice it's a smaller part and then a larger part at the back or at the bottom. And I just think that's a great way to make your fabric large enough to be for the long arm. And I think that adds a nice dimension on here. You know, a nice, cohesive backing is nice too, but I just think it's fun. I just think it's fun to do these piece backings, especially something like this that doesn't have to be fussy on the long arm. You know, I can measure where I need it to. She did have this is going to be upside down, but she did have a label on the back. All right, so I have it flipped to the back, and she did have a label on the back. Now notice this label was pretty close to the bottom. So the pantograph we did on this was mistletoe, and so it looks the same, you know, top to bottom. So actually what I did is I loaded this one with the bottom first, because I wanted, so I loaded the quilt like this, and with the bottom of the backing I was stitching that first, because I did not want to start at a certain place at the top and get to the end and realize that my backing was going to hit right in the middle of that label. So what I did was I flipped this the other way, so I actually loaded it I actually loaded it like this. So my backing fabric was upside down. She had marked the top of the quilt top as well, so I knew that that was going down as well. But then I started the quilt, so I knew I had enough space to do a little bit of stitching before I got to that quilt label, and then that way I knew I had enough room at the bottom. There's nothing worse than getting to the end of a quilt and realizing you're not ending where you hoped you would. And that's just the nature of long arms as well. The more it's not going to stay exactly the same size, whether it's a lot of piecing that makes it to stretch a little bit more, or stretching it taut on the bars. So a lot of times I will mark where I want to start at the very top. You know, say I have a backing fabric that has something right in the middle and I need it to be kind of centered. I'll do my very best. I'll mark it at the top where I need to start that quilt, and hopefully get that pretty well centered. It is a little tricky though, so I hope you'll understand your long armer if they say, I don't know, I'm going to do my best to try to get that centered, but it's not as easy as it looks, because all three layers are done separately. Your quilt top is loaded on one bar, your quilt back is loaded on another bar. So it's not like, you know, you're laying it out on the floor and basting it together and everything goes through at the same time. Those are done in 3 separate layers, the batting being your 3rd layer in the middle. And so just the nature of rolling it and the stretching of the fabric or the density of the pantograph, and those all play into how uniform it rolls, you know, and whether I end up at the back or at the bottom where I think I'm going to. So that's why we asked for 4 inches larger on each side. Not only do I have to, I've got to have some clearance to attach it to these bars that you see, but just the nature of fabric, backings aren't always square. So just the nature of things shifting or not being square, and then the rotating of them, we just need that extra fabric just to ensure we get that quilt all on the backing and no surprises at the end. So Jane's quilt is so, so cute. Just love all that she did with this one. And again, the pattern is called Jingle All the Way. Let me get it. The pattern is called Jingle All the Way, and that is by Sweetwater. Thank you so much for joining me today. I always appreciate spending time with you. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite quilt was from today, and I will be back here next week because every quilt is worth finishing. We'll see you then.